Horror Coast to Coast is a movie review podcast featuring strong language, horror film spoilers, and discussions of violence, gore, and disturbing subject matter. Listener discretion is advised.
Horror Coast to Coast.
Welcome to Horror Coast to Coast, where we review horror movies from opposite sides of the continental U.S., from a New England town that doesn't exist. I'm Brian.
And taking some more madness damage in California, I'm Michelle.
And this week we reviewed In the Mouth of Madness from 1994, directed by John Carpenter.
An insurance investigator begins discovering that the impact a horror writer's books have on his fans is more than inspirational.
Okay.
That's it.
All right.
And then we open with the kind of cool unknown rock music with the printing the printing press in the background.
Yeah, we get footage from what's that show about how they make things?
Oh, how it's made.
Oh yeah, how it's made. It's like how it's made, and then Judas Priest guitar over
Yeah. It actually
It's-
reminded me of the music from Prince of Darkness.
Yeah, but it feels really out of place. We get this music at the beginning and end, but it doesn't really fit the rest of the movie, and we don't really get metal music at all in this movie.
I agree. I think maybe it's like some leftover recording that Alice Cooper made for him, and so he just decided to throw it in.
Maybe.
And then we cut to an asylum that looks like a prison on the outside and like a church on the inside.
Yeah.
I was like, what is this building? There's an ambulance going there. Oh my gosh, is that an asylum? It was okay. So then yes.
So then they're dragging Sam Neill in a straitjacket in there. He's got crazy hair, and they like throw him in a cell.
Yeah, we immediately see a very insane acting Sam Neill yelling about how he isn't insane.
Yeah, Sam Neill's just always going insane in these movies.
He's good at it.
Event Horizon and Possession. He's just always like taking the madness damage.
He's good at it. It's funny because I was looking up some things about him, and the comment about all of his, accolades and stuff is he is the most versatile actor of his generation. And I think, yeah, he does different types of madness pretty convincingly.
Well, then he's in Jurassic Park, and he's just like the most normal guy.
Yeah, that's true.
So he can do the most normal or the most insane. Either one. A lot of range.
That's what he was in this movie, right? He starts out as the most normal.
Yeah, he's an insurance adjuster.
Yeah.
Doesn't get much more normal than that.
Yeah. Well, actually, he's an investigator, which I don't I don't know if that's what they're called, and I should know, right? Because it's like what I do. But we do have something similar to this, where people investigate the merit of someone's claim, but it's not really, at least where I work, it's not really like a person that goes out. It's more the adjuster collects some facts, and then we kind of put things together, and we're like, I don't know, that sounds fishy. Let's send this to another department, and they'll look into it more. I'm sure back in the day, people had to do on-site visits to see if things were legit, but that's not. I don't know what other insurance companies do, but that's not what we do. We don't do site visits. I don't think we do. We might, but I don't think we do.
Well, it's 1994, so it might be a bit different then.
Yeah, and he's apparently very good at his job. He's good at spotting when people are lying about, the underlying facts of their claim.
Yeah. So he's telling this to one of the doctors, and he's like drawing crosses all over himself in Sharpie. He looks like a high schooler's textbook, like the book cover.
Yeah.
They're really badly drawn. They're all over his face and like his scrubs.
Yeah. So this is the framed story of him at the beginning and at the
Yeah.
end in this mental hospital, and he's telling his story to David Warner, who I really like. And I guess he's just sitting there, and you can't. And and there's some talk about the symptoms and one of them, and like something else is going on, like people are infected or something. It's not clear from the beginning.
Yeah. Yeah. So he's like, you probably want to hear about my them, right?
Yeah.
He's like, what are you talking about? He's like, every schizophrenic has a them.
Yeah. And then turns out that has nothing to
So
do with the movie.
yeah, true.
There was a lot of misleading stuff here at the beginning, because you learn at the end that he like feels like safety from being in the mental health facility, but like if he wanted to be there because he thought as a safe place to be, why the hell was he kicking and screaming when they brought him in? So I think
Yeah.
the beginning was just to give you, I don't know, just to set things up and give you atmosphere for the movie.
Yeah, pretty much. So he starts his story and he's like in the middle of he's exposed some guy for insurance fraud because a bunch of stuff was supposed to have burnt up, but he has photos of like his mistress in a fur coat that should have been destroyed.
Yeah.
He's like, if you're gonna cheat us, don't also cheat your wife.
Yeah. So then the guy who works, I don't know if he's like a supervisor or something, but he essentially decides, you know what, you're really good at this. So I'm going to give you something that is like a high paying client or like a high value client or whatever.
Yeah. So is that was it Arcane Publishers,
Yeah.
the publisher of the Sutter Kane? Sutter Kane is a author who apparently sells more than Stephen King.
Yeah. I don't I don't really understand what this has to do with insurance, because I don't know what they're trying to claim. Are they trying to get money off of him disappearing? I mean, I don't know. He was insured somehow. I didn't quite follow that. Um, but
Yeah, so he's disappeared, so I think it has to do with that, I guess.
yeah, I couldn't find the insurance connection to that. I don't. Maybe it wasn't important, but I was kind of trying to follow along like the logistics of it. But yeah, he's assigned to this Arcane Publishers claim to go look and see if, I guess at the end of the day, what he's trying to decide is if the author is actually missing, or if the publishers have pulled some elaborate uh publicity stunt to increase sales.
Yeah.
Yeah, okay. That's the story. I accepted it. I moved on. I couldn't quite understand how it connected to the insurance aspect.
Yeah. It's kind of strange. So they're in like a coffee shop, and then this disheveled guy in like a trench coat with an axe just slowly walks up to the coffee shop and like smashes the window in with the axe.
Yeah.
He says, "Do you read Sutter Kane?" And he has like weird eyes with
His
two
irises
irises.
are crazy. Yeah.
Yeah, I was trying to think, what does this remind me of? Is this like a type of frog, maybe, or maybe a mutation of a frog that I've seen? But I've definitely seen this in like something real before.
Yeah, I've seen it somewhere too.
He's got like split irises.
Yeah.
I think it might be like a radioactive mutation or something like that.
Yeah. Well, either way, he looks crazy and scary.
Yeah,
And then he has an axe.
yeah. And then he gets shot.
Yeah.
Yeah, and he's like looking directly into Trent, and then he like gets shot and like falls onto the table in front of him.
Yeah. And then he goes to have a discussion with or do his interview with Arcane Publishers, and he discovers that the guy who came at him with this axe is the agent of the author who has disappeared.
Yeah. And he's like, wow, you think Sutter Kane could get better help? And they're like not having it.
Yeah. So he's having this interview with, I guess, the boss, who is played by Charlton Heston. And then the editor, who is apparently the only one to have read and edited Sutter Kane's books. And her name is Linda Stiles, but he calls her Stiles for the whole movie.
Yeah. Yeah, and she's like, "We need you," and she tells him about, like, how people who read Sutter Kane are going mad and stuff, and she's kinda, like, trying to recruit him to her cause, basically.
Yeah, to figure I don't know what she's trying to do. What is he gonna figure
Yeah,
out? And there's all these news reports that people are going crazy over supply issues with his books.
yeah,
But he's skeptical, right? He doesn't believe the hype
yeah,
of the books, and he doesn't
yeah, he thinks this
believe
is all a con.
Yeah, he thinks this is a con. He doesn't believe the hype of the books. He doesn't believe that people are actually like fiending for these novels. And she essentially is like, "Well, why don't you read them?" And
Yeah,
that's when everything went crazy for me. I think it became very easy to start doubting reality early on because a few things were happening that I noticed. One, there were hard cuts between different times and different locations. And the transitions just it kind of helped to start breaking down what was going on in the movie, because I think ultimately that's kind of what's going on, this slow disintegration of stuff. But it also did this switch really abruptly between it's daytime, now it's nighttime, now it's daytime, now it's nighttime. And it just kept switching back and forth in the span of like one shot. So he would be like, he's at the firm and it's daytime. And the next shot is him walking home down that alley and it's nighttime. And then the next shot is him at the bookstore. And then he's back home reading at night. And then he goes back to the alley.
yeah,
It was just so abrupt and it was so disorienting.
yeah, and we get, like, a dream, or it seems like a dream, where a cop's, like, beating some guy for spray painting.
Yeah.
And he's like, "What, you want somebody?" And then he goes to the bookstore, and some guy's like, "He sees you."
Yeah.
But yeah, it's because I think he starts reading the books, and then all this stuff starts getting crazy. Like, he's losing track of time, and he's having hallucinations,
Yeah.
and it's, like, instantaneous.
Yeah. So then
After he reads all the books, he cuts them up and assembles them into a map of New Hampshire. And he's like, "This is where the town in the book is. This is where Hobbs End is."
yeah. And it's a fictional town.
Yeah, and he brings this to, like, the publisher and, like, the CEO or whatever, and they're not, like, throw him in a rubber room.
No, they're not.
They're not, like, they really should be, even if they're, like, already inclined to believe this stuff. This is such an insane thing, like, "Look, I cut the books into the shape of New Hampshire, and this is where we're gonna go," like,
Wait, but
I don't know how he came to this conclusion.
no, I think he just yeah, yeah. He had a moment where he was just wired off of reading all these books and then solved some puzzle that nobody realized was there. But I think in his mind, he either thinks that they're either conning us or the author has just skipped town, and I don't know why he would do that. And so he's like, he left clues for us to follow, and this is a clue. And so he's going to be in this fictional town. It sounds a little bit nuts, yeah, if you think about it out of context, but in this context, I'm like, you know what? I see it. There's lines on all the covers and they all fit together. New Hampshire, kind of a weird place to choose, but it is what it is. But yeah, so he brings it to them and they're like, that's weird. That town doesn't exist. And he's like, that too bad. This is where we're going. And Charlton Heston's like, fine, but you're taking my editor with you.
Yep. Yeah, so they go on a road trip. She's asleep in the passenger seat, and he gets, like, a clown horn out of his glove box and honks it to wake her up. Like, why did you have a clown horn in your glove box?
Yeah, I don't know. Very strange.
It's also very, like, strange. It's, like, basically the start of their relationship.
Yeah.
It's just like, why the hell did you do that?
Yeah. Yeah. Well, that it's kind of like he's driving and for some reason everything's fine when he's driving, but then when
Yeah.
she's driving, it all starts to get a little surreal.
Yeah. So we keep seeing this kid with baseball cards in his spokes riding along, and he's getting older and older
Yeah.
until he's like an old man with long white hair. He's just like looping.
Yeah.
And then the road disappears. It's just like flying on nothing.
Yeah.
And then they arrive in Hobbs End, and it's suddenly morning, and
Again, see?
he just wakes up and he's like, "Oh, that was fast. Wow, we're in Hobbs End. Great job."
Yeah.
Like he just slept through the whole thing, and she's having like an existential crisis over there.
Yeah. Because it was in the span of like 4 minutes and he's somehow convinced that he slept the whole night. I mean, I don't know. I've done that for sure. I've been like, "Oh my God, I've been asleep for hours. It's been 5 minutes." But he has one of those moments and wakes up and is like, "Oh, awesome. We're here already."
Yeah.
And it is a ghost town, figuratively and literally, it seems.
Yeah.
Did you get so strong, super strong Silent Hill vibes?
Oh yeah, for
Oh my
sure.
gosh, when they were walking around, I was like, "You know what? This might be the seminal material for Silent Hill, or at least for the movie."
I think it's also the seminal material for the Alan Wake games because they're just like this. Like an author's books are coming to life, and he's a highly acclaimed horror author, and it's just like this. So I think this is pretty influential.
Yeah. Oh yeah, definitely.
But yeah, there's no one around except a dog runs out, and then there's like 20 kids chasing after it.
That she sees, but he doesn't.
Yeah, she turns to him and she's like, "Did you see that?" He's like, "What? No."
Yeah. It's very clear that whatever's happening is affecting her immediately and is not affecting him. And I sort of chalk that up to the fact that she had already read the books before him, and so maybe she seemed a little off when he first meets her, right? And then
Mm-hmm.
coming closer and closer to like the source makes it worse for her. So my impression is that she had more exposure to the material than he did. And so it immediately grabs her and she starts acting crazy and seeing things, and they find a hotel and
Yeah, and everything's exactly as it's described in the book. She's like, "There'll be a painting right there, and that floorboard will squeak because she's read it all before."
yeah. Yeah.
And the innkeeper is named Mrs. Pickman. She's played by Frances Bay, who I know and love from Twin Peaks,
Mm.
playing a very similar creepy old lady. So if you need a creepy old lady, Frances Bay was your girl. She's so funny, but also so creepy. I love her.
Yeah. Yeah. And it's funny because at the beginning, um, she is very kind of like, what's the word? Just like empty-headed, not really there. Doesn't really know
Yeah.
what's going on. Um, Says she doesn't know the author, has never heard of the books and, stuff like that. But for the most part, she seems normal. And then the next time you see her, her makeup is like darker and like
Hmm.
she's got noticeable bags under her eyes, and you can just tell that like her makeup has intentionally been changed to make her seem more menacing. And yeah, it works, but it was just so funny because I noticed the difference between her when we first see her and she's just a sweet old lady in normal makeup, and then the second time when they give her darker makeup and make her a little scarier.
Yeah.
And then of course she's got her husband chained to her ankle, which was
Yeah.
insane.
Yeah, the way she's like, "Don't smoke, it bothers my husband," and you don't she's the only person you've seen in town aside from those kids, and then it, like, zooms down, and her naked husband is handcuffed to her ankle.
Yeah.
That was wild.
Yeah, I was not expecting that. A lot of like trippy shit in this movie too.
It almost reminds me of, like, The Shining when, like, you just turn a corner and some weird sexual shit is happening.
Yeah. No, definitely. This is definitely one of those kinds of movies. Um oh yeah, so then Styles begins to sort of freak out about how much overlap there is between the town and the book. And Trent is like, "Of course you can see the overlap. Of course you know what's going on. You staged it. Like this is all an elaborate ruse. You are the perpetrator, so you know exactly where everything is. You know how everything's going to unfold, which doesn't really make sense because if this was an elaborate ruse, arguably she has been out of the loop long enough that she couldn't just step back into it completely randomly and then not miss a beat. Like that's crazy. Like even more of a stretch than this company essentially setting up an entire town as a publicity stunt.
Yeah.
So he's grabbing at straws, trying to make sense of stuff he doesn't understand.
Yeah. And he's like, if it was like the book, there'd be an elaborate castle out this window. And it's just like some warehouse or something. And she's like, well, you didn't read carefully enough because it's out the west window. And then there's like this absurd, like pristine palace of a church.
Yeah.
It looks so out of place because
Yeah.
it's so like pristine and elaborate.
It's very like I don't even know if it's necessarily Gothic, but
I couldn't describe this architectural style. It's
well, he said Byzantine.
Did he?
Yeah, he said Byzantine, but he said it was like a dark Byzantine.
Yeah.
So I'm just gonna take him at at his word that it's a dark Byzantine architectural style.
All right.
But evil looking building.
We'll trust this very reliable narrator on that observation.
I'm not trusting him on the observation. I'm trusting him on the characterization. You know,
Yeah.
I'm not saying he's stupid. He's intelligent. He's a little crazy, but he's intelligent.
So they go to the church, and again, she sees the kids chasing the dog, and Trent's reading from the book like everything that's gonna happen. And then these dudes show up with guns and they're demanding Kane come out of the church. And he does. And then they get like attacked by a bunch of Dobermans.
Yeah. This is very Mr. Burns.
Yes, it is.
He was like,
it's literally that scene in
yeah.
Simpsons.
They were like, Kane, come out, give him back to me. And then before you see Sutter Kane, you see a kid.
Yeah.
And later we learn that apparently he took kids. They took the kids first or something.
Oh, yeah.
But that group of people, the guy leading the group, he's looking for what seems to be his son.
Yeah.
And then Kane is like giving him a really weird evil smile. And then the next time he sends out the dogs.
Yeah.
With no bees in their mouths.
Yep. All right. So Trent like talks to Mrs. Pickman about the paintings, and she's like, did you do these? And she's like, what? No, who told you that? And like it shows the paintings, and now they're all like deformed.
Yeah. Yeah. And the painting that he sees, it appears to be the same painting that is getting more and more closer to this like horrific image.
Yeah.
Like it starts out with two people just kind of standing in a field, and then as with each viewing of this painting, like at one point they turn and their faces are deformed, and then it keeps going and they look, like they're tortured, and the painting itself just keeps on shifting. He notices it. I think Styles might have noticed it at one point too, but no one seems to bring it up. It's just all right, whatever.
So Trent goes to a bar, and Style goes to a church and talks to the creepy kids, and they have like scarred up faces, and they're like, today is mommy's day.
Yeah, I was not okay with that.
Trent,
with that scene.
Yeah.
I was like, well, because the kids were deformed as well, and one of them was monstrous. It was very scary. It was very Reagan from The Exorcist.
And I think, like the painting, I think they're getting more deformed each time. Because I think the first time they were just like normal kids, and by this time they're like noticeably deformed.
Yeah. And like not deformed as in like just deformed, they're monstrous.
Right? Yeah, like Cenobites.
Yeah, and like they have like fangs and stuff, and their noses become kind of like they look like little orcs. Right? But yeah, so they are on their two separate spirit journeys, and he's in the bar and she is talking to the kids, and they essentially tell her he's waiting for you inside.
Yeah.
And she comes to this sign that essentially says, "Abandon all hope, ye who enter."
Yeah.
And she enters anyway.
Yeah. And the church is super creepy inside. It's got like blood red walls.
It looks like hell.
Yeah, it
And
looks like hell.
she just keeps on walking deeper and deeper into what looks like you're walking into the mouth of hell, lady, and you just keep going. This is where I think I was just like, okay, we're not in the realm of reality anymore in terms of responses to things, because
She probably knew what it looks like inside the church. You read it already.
oh, I didn't think about that. You're right. So maybe when she's exploring, she's just putting it all together.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. And she knows what her role is, and she knows what. Interesting. Okay.
Yeah. So inside, Kane's clacking away on his typewriter. And he's like, they tell me what to write. And he gestures at his giant, weird, pulsating door.
That's slimy.
Yeah, slimy, weird, pulsating door that
Yeah.
tells him what to write.
Yeah. You can hear some gargling from inside.
Yeah. I
Some
really
growling.
like it. This is
Yeah.
this is a good form for an entity to take.
Yeah.
It's very creepy.
This reminded me of a movie that we watched, and I can't put my finger on it right now, but it reminded me of that crazy movie that it was the 80s movie, and it involved the scientist who had that experiment in
From
his
Beyond?
was it From Beyond? Maybe. It was a crazy 80s movie, and then in the end, the cops show up to the house, and the survivor is like, "Get me out of here."
Yeah, I think that might
Maybe
have
it
been
was
From Beyond.
Here, I'm looking it up. Yes, 100% From
Yeah,
Beyond.
I
And
thought
you
of that
know,
movie too.
and you know what? I'm wondering if maybe I thought of it because it's based on an H.P. Lovecraft story. And this,
Yeah,
I don't think this is based on an H.P. Lovecraft story, but I believe it is H.P. Lovecraft inspired. So
yeah,
maybe I just got like cosmic horror vibes from this and then remembered that movie too.
yeah. Mrs.
But
Pickman's name is a reference to Lovecraft.
oh, okay. I didn't know that. But yeah, so the door specifically with the things behind it trying to push their way out made me think of that movie. Because I was like,
Yeah,
oh, it's like those weird creatures trying to come through from the other dimension in that weird ass movie we saw.
yeah,
Um,
definitely. So he like grabs her head and makes her see crazy visions and her eyes start to bleed.
it's the book. He's like,
Yeah,
I'm working on my latest book, and it's called In the Mouth of Madness, right? And he
yeah.
puts her head to the pages. I think he's having her read the book. I think that's when she's like, I read it all already. That's when he makes her
Oh,
do it.
yeah. Yeah, and then she like reaches out and starts like fondling a weird monster on the back of his neck.
Yeah. It was so weird.
That was very From Beyond too, because
Yeah.
he was all horned up weird monster.
Yeah. Yeah. Normal, definitely normal in the front, monstrosity in the back.
Yeah,
And then there's another abrupt cut because
yeah,
Trent is like walking through their hotel room looking for her.
yep.
And then boom, she appears.
Yeah, she just like tackles him out of nowhere, like
Yeah.
teleports behind him and grabs him.
And then just collapses to the ground.
Yeah, and she's like, I'm losing me, John. Don't read the book.
Yeah. And I had a thought in this moment because I remember you asking me about um shots and cinematography and stuff like that, and I said I don't necessarily notice things for being good. I usually notice them when they're odd and out of place. This is an exception because the bird's eye view in their room was such a good shot in this moment, and the fact that they are off center and the focus of the shot is the carpet. And then
Yeah.
he crosses the room and leaves, and there's nothing to resolve why it was shot that way. Like there's no explanation given. There's no pan down to see this perspective. It's just a random bird's eye view shot for like 4 seconds, and then next shot.
Yeah. So Trent's like running to try to find some help for her, and he finds that Mrs. Pickman is like mutating into a monster and is hacking away at her husband, who is also turning into a monster.
Yeah.
This is pretty wild.
Which is what Styles predicted at the beginning, and she's like she's gonna chop over her husband, and he was like,
Oh,
no, that sweet old lady would never do something like that.
yeah.
And lo and behold.
Yeah. So he runs upstairs and he's like, come on, Styles, we're out of here. But he sees her frame behind the door, and then under it are like tentacles.
Yeah.
And then like it starts to open up and she like throws him through a door. And then he gets out and it looks like, is this her in the window? It looks like Pumpkinhead. I don't know. Is this Styles has transformed?
So I think that in her time in the like evil church, she is sort of either merged with the beings a little bit, or they've influenced her enough that they can kind of manifest through her somehow.
Yeah.
Um as far as I was concerned at this point in the movie, Styles was forever unclean after that. Like she
Yeah.
doesn't she doesn't have any hope of being brought back.
Yeah. I agree.
What was the name of that movie that took place in the hospital?
The
The one with the dimension at
the void?
the void, thank you. Um yeah, I thought about that too. Well, apparently
Yep.
I didn't think about any of these movies' titles. I just thought of I just had the images of these movies in my mind while I was watching this. Because the scene where the Ms. Pickman is transforming and chopping up her husband was very much the void.
Yeah. Or the void was influenced by this.
That's true. It was the later movie.
Oh yeah, so he's like driving off and he sees the crowd. There's like the kids are playing Ring Around Rosie with Styles and saying like, "You are a dead woman" or something like that. And so that makes him like run for cover in the bar, and he's encounters the guy he was drinking with earlier, and he tells him some stuff, and then he like grabs a gun and puts it under his head. He's like, "Don't do it." He's like, "I have to. I'm written this way."
Yeah. And that is the dad who was
Yeah.
leading the
Oh
group
yeah, yeah.
to the castle earlier, the church.
Yeah. So just like he was chased into the bar, now this trauma has chased him out of the bar. He's like
Right.
borderline throwing up. And then he sees the mob and they're like more mutant than ever. And he like grabs Styles. Oh, he punches Styles in the face and like picks her up and takes her to the car.
Yeah.
And then he's trying to start the car and she's got the keys and she puts it in his mouth and he punches her again. It's like, goddamn,
Yeah.
Trent.
Yeah. So she swallows the keys and he starts the car with a screwdriver, I guess. Whatever.
Yeah, you can do that in movies at least.
Yeah.
I've
And
definitely seen
then
that a number of times.
yeah, and then he just is stuck in this infinite loop driving out of the town only to be driving back into it again.
Yeah,
He does this like 4 or 5 times, I think, before he
yeah,
decides, fuck this crowd, I'm just gonna drive right through them.
yep,
And of course, in the process of deciding that he's going to effectively run over several people, he sees Styles at the last second and swerves. So he's
yep.
okay running over a bunch of randos, but when it's somebody he knows, he freaks out.
They're all
I was like,
monsters.
dude, you just decided to run down multiple people. Why out of nowhere you're deciding she's the exception?
Because she's the one he knows.
I know, I get it, but I'm just saying, I feel like if you're at the point where you're just gonna run people over, you just should be running people over. But he swerves and he crashes and he blacks out.
Yeah,
And then he wakes up in a confessional.
yep. And the person he's supposed to be confessing to apparently is Cain.
Right.
And he says that more people believe in his books than believe in the Bible. I'm
Yeah.
like,
That
really?
yeah. No, he's definitely a megalomaniac at this point. He says I'm God at some point.
Yeah.
That's 100% his personality.
Yeah. And Trent says his books suck, which I think if someone's that popular to have that much mass appeal, the books are probably pretty mediocre. So imagine being trapped in a book that's not only horrifying, but also is just terribly written. That's a true
Yeah.
nightmare.
Except he doesn't think that though, because when he was talking to I think he was talking to his coworker on the phone, he says, they're not badly written. There's actually something about them that's appealing in a way, and he couldn't explain it, but
Yeah, that is the
he would
madness talking.
maybe, but I think he was just lashing out.
Yeah, I do too.
I'm stuck in this town. I'm pissed off. It's all your fault, and your books suck anyway.
Yeah. So then he has all kinds of crazy visions and he wakes up in the hell church. And
Yeah.
Sutter's like, it's done. So in the mouth of
He
madness
pulls
is
the final
complete.
page off the printer.
Yeah.
Mm,
He tells him it's his to deliver. And then he reveals to Trent that Trent's not real. He just made him up.
yeah. And in the story that he has written about him, his role is to deliver the book to the world. And in doing so, he will spread the word of this alt dimension and the influence of this alt dimension and allow the old ones to enter our world. So it's he's in cahoots with this cosmic horror that's trying to break into our space.
Yeah. And then he starts like ripping his face, and it's like pages from a
Yeah.
book. He basically turns into a portal that's also like a hole in a book.
I really liked this part.
Yeah, that was an interesting little effect and idea.
Yeah. I really liked this part because it sort of didn't make any sense why Trent walks toward it and goes to look inside. But as he's doing it, Styles starts narrating
Yeah.
his actions. And then I was like, whoa. And then he peers over and he sees the creature, and she's like, she stops at some point, but he turns and he runs. But that little moment where she's narrating what he's doing is kind of, the proof of what Sutter was
Yeah.
saying.
So in retrospect, all the things we talked about character motivation earlier is kind of null and void.
Yes.
Because it's all just written by Cain.
Yes. And that's ironic. And I want to talk about that after this.
Oh yeah. So then some eldritch horrors start pouring out of the portal and they chase Trent.
Yeah. And he runs down this tunnel that Sutter opened up for him, saying, that's the portal to back to your world. Take my book and spread the word. And so he runs and he ends up on some random road, assumedly in New Hampshire, and he sees a kid on a bike drive go by.
Yep, with baseball cards in his spokes.
Yeah, but this is a normal, regular kid, and he is like, you want a newspaper? Why are you stopping me?
Yeah. Yeah, he asks him if he's ever been to Hobbs End, and he's like, nope.
Yeah. And then at this point, I start to really not understand his actions, because the first thing he does after he makes his way back into civilization, he gets a hotel and he's ruminating obviously over what he just experienced. There's a moment where he's just sitting on the bed rocking back and forth. But then
yeah, and he dropped the book as soon as he landed.
Oh, yeah, he drops the book. He doesn't bring it with him. But then he goes to the records and like a town hall to look at records. And I saw on the label it was Manchester, so he must be in Manchester, New Hampshire, right? But he goes to like their town hall, and the lady is like, there is no town there's no such town as Hobbs End. And it seems like he has been aggressive about pursuing like look again, look again. And she's like, I'm
Yeah.
telling you for
It's
the
like,
last
there
time.
never will be.
Yeah. And then, of course, he has to accept this, and he goes back to his hotel room to find the book.
Yeah, well, a kid brings it to him, and it's like, I got a package for you. He's like, how? No one knows I'm here. He's like, well, someone does. And then the package is just like, it's in a bag, and it says John Trent, just
Yeah.
in Sharpie.
Yeah.
I thought that was pretty funny.
So
Like, it
then he
doesn't matter
decides,
how it got here, it was written that way.
yeah. Then he decides, I'm getting rid of it once and for all, and he burns the individual pages.
Yep.
And calls it a day and decides, I'm going back to Arcane and I'm going to tell them what happened. And this makes no sense to me why he does this. But apparently, he goes to Charlton Heston without Styles and tells him the whole story. And of course, the CEO is like, I don't know what you're talking about. And also, I don't know anything about the Styles person I supposedly sent with you to go investigate this town. And also, the book's been published for weeks and weeks.
Yeah, it's a bestseller.
That was the bomb drop, right? Like, oh shit, the book's been published already? And then, oh yeah, and the movie's coming out soon.
Oh, yeah.
Very funny.
Yeah, so then Trent just like acts, or he says, you read the book to some guy. He's like, yeah. And he's like, then this doesn't surprise you, right? And he kills him with an axe.
Yeah. Crazy. So that essentially explains how he ends up at the mental health facility, and he closes out the story by talking to the doctor, and the doctor is like, okay, I want to help you and I will see you later. And I'm like kind of confused as to what happens. He leaves and then shit hits the fan,
Yeah,
but Trent is safely insulated in his little
yeah. Trent's perfectly safe. Is outside his padded cell. The world just
padded
ends.
cell.
Like
Yeah.
everything's going crazy.
Yeah, and you hear a news report about like random mass killings and people attacking each other, and just widespread mania and massacres. And he's walking around seeing all the damage.
Yeah. And this reminded me so much of 28 Days Later when he
Oh
gets up
yeah,
from the hospital and everything's just abandoned. There's trash
absolutely.
everywhere.
Yeah, I thought of that. I also thought of like episode 1 of The Walking Dead.
Which was, I think, directly inspired by the 28 Days Later thing.
Yeah. And then he somehow makes his way downtown
Yep.
to the theater, which is
Yeah.
showing John Carpenter's In the Mouth of Madness featuring John Trent.
Yep.
This is meta before meta was meta.
Yeah, this is amazing. Then he sits down and watches the movie we just watched and
Yeah.
laughs maniacally. We just get like
Yeah.
shots of all this
Scene.
terrible things happening and he's just laughing his ass off. And
Yeah.
man, this performance by Sam Neill is just beautiful. I
So
love
good.
how insane he is here.
Yeah. Really, really good. And then it
What
just
an
ends.
ending. Yeah,
Yeah,
what
and
an
then it just
ending
ends.
though.
Ends with him mid laugh.
Yep.
So I'll say that I saw this movie in high school and didn't fucking understand it one bit. And I was like, okay, yeah, whatever. That was a crazy movie. And in my mind, it was just nothing makes any sense and the world is chaos. That was what I got from this when I was in high school. I had two thoughts when I was watching this movie. Actually, more towards the end, these sort of formed. One, I really, really wanted to figure out why these three movies, The Thing, Prince of Darkness, and In the Mouth of Madness, are referred to as the Apocalypse trilogy. And I have some ideas and some theories behind that, and I think it's an accurate moniker for these movies. And then the other thing that I thought that I was thinking about is this idea of fatalism and self-determinism and agency. Because when he gets to the point where he's watching the movie about himself, Um, it reminded me of Stranger Than Fiction. Did you ever see that movie?
No.
It's Will Ferrell, and he somehow comes across um oh, a woman starts narrating his life, and he's like, "What the fuck is going on?" And it's kind of weird because I don't remember if it starts off with him being narrated or what, but eventually he just starts hearing this narration, and he goes on this journey to find the person doing the narrating, and he finds the author of the book, and it's she doesn't realize that the character she wrote is an actual person, and there's this whole like kind of existential discussion. But it's very benign. It's not a very like blow everything apart kind of movie. It's very like think rationally about all of these possibilities and like what agency could mean. Um, so that's what the movie started to remind me of. Um, but anyhow, let's go back because the Apocalypse trilogy. What did you think about all three of them put together? Like having seen them all.
I don't really see much of a through line other than it being apocalyptic.
Okay. Because what I found that linked all three movies is I think it carries the same paranoia through all three in the sense that you can't trust people
Mm-hmm.
and you don't really know if there's a greater evil, you don't know who's been turned to align with it or who's still on your side. Right. That's one through line I saw.
Yeah.
Um, and then there's also the theme that the end, our destruction is going to come from within. That we are sociable by nature, but we are also corruptible. And so our connection to each other is essentially the thing that's going to facilitate our destruction. And I think that all three movies explored that in different ways because you have one where destruction comes from outer space. Then you have one where our destruction has been here on Earth with us this whole time. And then this movie where it's coming from a hell dimension, maybe, but it also could just be fictional. But I think maybe the hell dimension is really the threat. So
Yeah.
it's interesting, and I thought that all of these movies sort of explore um just perception, right? And how you see other people, how you relate to other people, and what you do when your faculties are sort of failing and madness is taking over.
Mhm. Yeah.
Because I think there's an element of insanity in the thing at the end when they're both kind of like, well, I don't know if you're one of them and I don't know if I'm one of them, but this is just where we are. And it's a little bit of like we're just going to let go of rationale because there's nothing left to do. It's this, like I said, it's this idea of like fatalism. What else can be done? There's nothing else that's gonna
Yeah.
nothing can be done. So I don't know. I saw that in the movies. Um I also thought it was interesting that all three of the leading men in each of these movies is essentially ineffective, and they're explored from different angles of like masculinity because you have Kurt Russell who is, hyper masculine, hyper capable, and he fails. And then you have you could argue that the main male figure in The Prince of Darkness was Donald Pleasance because he's the religious figure that's kind of facilitating that, like pushing things forward, but he's ineffective. And then you have Sam Neill, who is the everyman, the skeptic, and he fails. So it's kind of
Yeah.
like it doesn't it's not a matter of being a certain type of man because you're going to fail no matter what, because this is this examination and this idea of like self-determinism is an illusion, and ultimately you have no agency, right? I think that's the message in all of these movies, which I thought was really wild. And I can't decide if I'm looking into it too much or if this is intentional. I really don't know.
Well, Did Trent really fail? Because his mission wasn't to stop the apocalypse, it was to figure out if this was a fraud or not. And I think he safely determined it was not all a big con.
Yeah, I guess his mission wasn't to save the world. Um, but don't you think that that's something that is ascribed to a male protagonist in a movie if they find out that there's this big bad approaching, that they then take it on as their job to stop, and
Yeah,
he doesn't really do that. He doesn't take on that role really. He runs
I
away from it.
that would be great to just subvert it though. Just be like, yeah, the world's gonna end, but I have a job I was already gonna do, so I'm just gonna do that instead.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I think that's really what it is. He is the everyman and he has a very normal response to this huge thing. He runs first, and then when he's presented with the absurd notion that he isn't real or he is a fabrication of someone else's thought process, he just laughs because it's so absurd. It's a very
Yeah.
it's a very normal, I think it's a very normal everyman response, not that version of masculinity where you have to take charge and like save everything. Um, which was just, I don't know. I liked thinking about the things that these movies had in common. Um, plus they're all kind of like, a little depressing, a little bleak.
Yeah. I mean, it's the Apocalypse trilogy that's kind of baked into the concept, right?
No, yeah, I absolutely see that. But I sort of thought, yeah, there's more commentary going on here. And I also thought, well, maybe it's not apocalypse in the sense that the whole world is being destroyed. Maybe it's apocalypse in the sense that our internal universes are being destroyed, because you see things from the perspective of these characters, and their whole perception of what their world is, what life is, what reality is, crumbles in these movies, right? Because you have the characters in The Thing who have to accept the fact that extraterrestrial beings exist and they have now invaded and have potentially are going to take over the planet. And then we have the Prince of Darkness realization of, okay, so what we thought about religion isn't correct, and there is not only Satan, there's Satan's dad, and he's even worse. And all of our structures, they're not accurate, and so there's that breakdown. And then in this one, reality, like what I think of as reality and who I think myself to be, is not even in my control. It's just, um so I thought that was very uh a really cool thing to think about. I liked looking into all of those connections because it was just kind of like, wow, these are really awesome and intellectual ideas that just make you think.
Yeah. So this and the Prince of Darkness aren't based on anything, right?
I don't believe so. No, I don't believe this is based on anything. I just read that it was inspired by H.P.
Yeah,
Lovecraft.
that's what I thought. It's kind of weird that one of the three movies is based on like a story, and the other two
Yeah.
are apparently original.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, that's true. And all three, I would argue, are some kind of cosmic horror.
Yeah.
But yeah, so one of the other things I thought about when I was thinking about Stranger Than Fiction, um, was the Truman Show, because this sort of reminded me a little bit of the Truman Show in the sense that if you look at In the Mouth of Madness, the message being agency is false. And once you realize this, everything collapses and you realize that you don't matter. And then you
Hmm.
have Stranger Than Fiction, which is agency is partially yours. At the very least, it can be negotiated, but there are external forces that affect you, but you do have some choice. So you can matter. And then you have the Truman Show. Agency is yours as long as you claim it, but it's fragile and you can have it taken away without even knowing. But in the end, you are all that matters. And it's this like real this examination of this of these ideas of fatalism versus like self-determination, I really didn't realize that this was such an intriguing topic to me until I started thinking about these movies, and I was like, wow, there's a lot of movies that examine what it is to take charge of your own, your own life, and what does it mean? What does it look like? Is it real? And though all those things are really fascinating, I think, to me.
Yeah. Yeah. Free will is a fascinating subject.
Yeah. Which, the funny thing about this is this thought process was actually inspired by a comment in a thread that I'm on. And the comment was, good things happen to good people. And I
Mhm.
said, that's some law of attraction bullshit. And then that made me
Yeah.
start thinking about that made me start thinking about the self-determinism part, because I was like, no, good things happen to good people. Shut the fuck up. Bad things happen to good people. Things happen to people. That's just a fact. Um and the whole like, if I imagine it, if I envision it, it'll happen for me. Yeah, I'm sure there's starving people who envision food and they don't get it. Fuck you. Um
Yeah.
so so yeah, I started thinking about that because I read that text while I was watching the In the Mouth of Madness, and I was like, "Oh, the law of attraction," and like it's stupid, but like agency and self-determinism, and that's where that led me. So I never would have come up with any of this if I hadn't had that like little switch turned on by this random comment in one of my text threads. But yeah. So I don't know. Do you have anything else you want to add?
I really like how much it captured a descent into madness. The way everything escalated until I was just like, what the fuck is going on? But not in a way where I like actively felt lost. Like I still felt like, yeah, all this nonsense still makes sense in the context of like, there's a pulsating door that told them to write this stuff and the stuff he writes comes true.
Yeah.
I also just love the pulsating door. It's great.
Yeah. But he also says it gave him the power to make things come true too, which I thought
Yeah.
was a really good point, because that shows that they're actively influencing how things unfold in our reality through this conduit, which still an interesting, awesome idea.
Yeah.
No reason for him to try to claim all the credit, but he
No.
does.
Yeah. Yeah. And just that ending was so great. Like, that is the most meta thing I think I've ever seen.
Oh yeah, him watching himself on screen.
And that means we're taking all kinds of madness damage because we just watched the movie.
That's what my opening was. I was like,
Yeah.
I've definitely taken some madness damage from watching this movie. And the best part about it is that he's alone in the theater because everyone else is dead.
Yeah. Who did he screen this movie for himself? Did he go up
I
to
don't
the projector and put it on the
And
reel
turn it
so he could?
on. I don't
Yeah.
know. I mean, there's got to be somebody alive because there's news broadcasters still going on in the background.
Well,
So
they
there's,
could have.
there's
That could be from before they died, though. That could have been recorded
oh,
weeks
that's
ago, and it's
true.
on loop.
Yeah, that's true.
Because we don't
But
see anyone, right? It's just Trent.
yeah, you don't see anyone. There's no one in the background. There aren't any extras.
Not even 20 kids chasing a dog or anything.
Yeah. Yeah, there's nothing. So interesting though that it's a little bit, maybe not difficult, but kind of pointless to pick apart the actual plot, because it all sort of feels that if something doesn't make sense, it could have been intentional. Like the kids and the dog. Like what the fuck was that? And when it says they take the kids first, what does that even mean? That wasn't explained.
Well, a lot of it is like, this is like 7 books we haven't read. So that's probably like, you know, 20 kids chasing a dog's iconic if you've read the series. Everyone knows that
Yeah,
scene.
that's funny. Yeah, that's probably true. And that's a good um kind of cover for any plot holes or inconsistencies. You could just say it could be something that's referencing one of these books that are in the series, in the movie that the viewers haven't read. So you just
Yeah.
accept this is a thing that maybe happened in a book, and Styles seems to recognize the kids. At
Yeah.
least she seems there's some recognition there, so maybe it is from a book.
This is simultaneously the most nonsensical and airtight movie ever.
Yeah. No, agree. I'm like, you can't question any of it because it's effectively pushing back on intentional insanity, intentional chaos. How can you push back on intentional chaos? It was meant to be crazy.
Yeah.
So that's a pretty big accomplishment, I think. Do you have anything else?
No. So I'm gonna rate this 4 out of 5 madness damage. I
Yeah,
really liked it.
I'm also giving it a 4 out of 5 madness damage. And honestly, I'm giving the 3 movies together 5 stars because I think that like as a set, they're really good and really good
Nice.
examples of like this era of filmmaking. I'm very much a convert in this way, in this particular thing.
Yeah.
Not so much for the fog.
No, I still love the fog.
It's okay to me. Yeah, I don't know. I had to be there, I guess. I read a lot of people thought the fog was scary when it came out, so
You know, I
maybe
I
that's
wasn't.
just
I wasn't there. I wasn't even a dream yet.
Yeah, no, I wasn't there. My parents were like 10, so yeah, not a huge fan of the fog itself, but I do like these movies a lot. Awesome. I'm really happy that we did this. I want to do another trilogy like this in the future. What are we doing next week?
All right. Next week we'll be watching The Monster from 2016, directed by Brian Bertino.
Oh, very nice. Monster movie. I don't know if we've done a monster movie in a while, so this will be
Yeah.
cool. I think Pumpkinhead might have been the last one.
Yeah. I mean, they're all a lot of them are monsters, even in this movie. Like those things, people
Yes.
deformed into monsters. But yeah. I
Yeah.
mean, we saw a thing that looked just like Pumpkinhead in that damn window. So, how long has it really been? I swear that was Pumpkinhead.
It might. I mean, I don't know. It might have.
That was his cameo.
Man, I can't help but laugh every time I think about that movie. It's crazy.
Oh, it's great.
Okay.
God
Anyway.
bless you, Doug Bradley.
Okay. Until next time.
Until next time.
This podcast is licensed under a Creative Commons Attribution Non-Commercial Share-alike 4.0 International License. For additional information and other media content, visit theferalthread.com. Thanks for listening. Until next week.